like sharp minds, brewed hot sherbra. No sugar, no filter. Sip, think, repeat, repeat, repeat.
Okay, let's kick things off with a quick thought experiment for you. Think back to your own time in school. Beyond, the friends and maybe that rush after nailing a test, did you genuinely find the learning day in, day out truly captivating?
That's a good question.
Remember those long, long classes? Textbooks that, let's be honest, weren't exactly page-turners, maybe like an appliance manual.
Yeah, I remember those.
And teachers sometimes just talking at you without really knowing if it was sinking in. Does that sound familiar at all?
Oh, definitely. And it's really striking how that basic model, that way of doing things, has pretty much stayed the same.
Right, for like a century, even with all the massive changes everywhere else.
Exactly. Think about it. Telegraph to foldable smartphones, radio to VR headsets, mass illiteracy to,
Well,
basically all human knowledge on the internet.
it's incredible. Yet teaching often feels like it's, stuck back in the 19th or 20th century. But maybe that's about to change.
And you have to ask, why? Why has education been relatively slow to change compared to everything else?
Well, now it seems like education is starting to borrow from science fiction almost. We're hearing about educational metaverses. Imagine studying history by actually walking around ancient Rome virtually.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Or AI tutors that adapt to your specific way of learning, pinpointing where you're stuck, giving instant feedback. Textbooks that aren't just text, but interactive, animated,
Yeah.
genuinely engaging things.
So that presents a kind of split picture, doesn't it?
Totally. On one hand, it sounds amazing, personalized learning, maybe making quality education accessible to more people. Learning could actually become fun.
That's the dream scenario.
But then there's the other side, the worry. Could it make learning feel less human? Could teachers become, redundant? Are schools going to turn into these data-driven places, just optimizing us with algorithms?
The utopia versus dystopia question.
Is this whole educational revolution a dream come true? Or are we maybe sleepwalking into a high-tech nightmare?
That tension between the huge potential upside and the real risks, that's really the core of it.
And that is exactly what we're going to unpack in this deep dive. We really want to dig into this shift. First up, VR and the metaverse in learning. Is it a genuine game changer, or is it just, the next fancy gadget that'll end up collecting dust?
Like those interactive whiteboards you sometimes see.
Exactly. Then we'll tackle AI in education. Can a chatbot really replace a human teacher? Spoiler, probably not.
Yeah.
But its role could be much bigger than just being a glorified helper.
Yeah, we need to look past the shiny surface and really question the educational value, the pedagogy behind it all.
And you know what else? We're going to spend a bit of time imagining what could be truly revolutionary. Because even with all the hype now, some key pieces are probably still missing for AI and tech to be genuinely useful in education.
Right, moving beyond the current limitations.
So yeah, get ready. We could be looking at the biggest change in education for generations. But the big question is it real progress? Or just another shiny distraction?
Okay, let's start with the metaverse then. When you mention VR in education, you usually get one of two reactions, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. First, there's the sort of slick sci-fi future vision. Students exploring ancient Rome by walking through the Forum, virtual field trips through the solar system, even doing things like frog dissections in VR. No actual frogs needed.
That's the pitch, the exciting possibility.
But then you've got the more cynical view, like, oh great, here comes another overhyped tech trend. Remember interactive whiteboards? How many of those are actually used effectively now?
That skepticism is fair, I think. We've seen tech come and go in schools without really changing much fundamentally.
So, putting aside the hype and the skepticism, what's the real potential here? Does learning in VR actually offer something substantial educationally?
Okay, now we're getting to the interesting part, because in theory, VR and AR do offer some pretty compelling advantages for learning.
Totally. Let's talk about immersion first.
Yeah.
The idea is you learn better by doing or experiencing, right? Not just reading. So imagine actually exploring ancient Rome, or being on a medieval battlefield virtually, or witnessing a key historical speech like you're there. That's got to stick better than a textbook chapter.
That idea of embodied learning, engaging senses directly, it makes sense that it could lead to deeper understanding.
Exactly. Then there's the interactive experiential side. Forget just watching demos. In physics or chemistry, you could actually play with abstract concepts.
Yeah.
Feel gravity on Mars versus Earth. See a chemical reaction happen from, like, inside the molecule.
Making the abstract concrete, that could be powerful for subjects that are often hard to grasp.
And we shouldn't forget accessibility. Think about students who can't physically be in a classroom. Maybe they're homebound or live really remotely. VR could let them attend, interact, be part of the class fully immersed.
Yeah, that could break down some serious
That
barriers.
sounds great, doesn't it? Really appealing.
Yeah.
But then reality hits. The promise runs into some pretty big practical walls.
This is where the rubber meets the road, and the challenges are significant.
First off, the digital divide. It's still huge and maybe getting bigger.
Yeah.
VR learning sounds cool
Yeah.
if you can afford it.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, equipping every kid with a headset, sensors, needing super fast internet, most schools just can't swing that. We still have schools where kids share ancient textbooks. A €400 headset per student. It's just not realistic for most places right now.
The cost is a massive hurdle. It risks making inequality in education even worse.
Then there's cognitive fatigue,
Mm-hmm.
mental overload. VR is engaging, yeah, but it's also intense. Can you imagine kids wearing headsets for 5-6 hours a day?
That'd sound ideal.
You're talking sensory overload, headaches, eye strain. The brain needs breaks, real-world interaction. There's a real risk of kids just sort of disconnecting from actual reality if they're plugged in all day.
The very immersion that makes it appealing also raises valid concerns about overuse and well-being.
Precisely. And third, there's this risk of, let's call it the gadgetization of knowledge. Having cool tech is one thing, but it doesn't automatically mean better learning. A lot of current VR stuff feels more like a fun demo than deep education.
The wow factor wears off quickly if there isn't solid teaching behind it.
Exactly. Seeing a super detailed 3D heart animation is cool, but if there's no proper teaching around it, you'll forget it instantly. Or doing an immersive WWII simulation. It might just feel like a game if you don't reflect on the why, the context, the consequences. The tech can't replace good pedagogy. It needs that foundation.
The tool is only as good as the teaching strategy that uses it.
So revolution or gadget, looking at it now, I think the metaverse has real potential, but only if a few big things happen. First, it has to be a tool, something that complements, not replaces, traditional classrooms.
Right.
Education is social, it's discussion, human connection. If VR just puts kids in lonely virtual bubbles, we've lost something vital.
The social and emotional learning aspects are crucial. You can't really get that alone in a headset.
Second, it needs to be accessible for everyone, not just rich schools. Right now, private companies are driving this, looking for profit. If VR becomes a luxury item, it just widens the gap.
Equity of access is absolutely key if this is going to be a positive force.
And third, maybe most important, pedagogy has to come first. The teaching method matters more than the tech. A flashy VR course without solid teaching principles is just a gimmick. It won't last.
Technology is the vehicle, pedagogy is the driver, and the map. You need both.
So is the metaverse a game changer? Maybe eventually. But right now it feels very much experimental. To get real change, we need to get past the novelty and seriously rethink how we teach using these tools.
It's about thoughtful integration, not just adopting the tech for its own sake.
But while VR might still be finding its feet in education, AI is already starting to sneak into how we learn.
Okay, so let's shift gears to the other big disruptor everyone's talking about, artificial intelligence in education.
Exactly. And the promises sound amazing, don't they? Learning that's smoother, faster, smarter, personalized paths for every student, teachers getting AI superpowers, instant answers for kids whenever they're stuck.
It taps into that desire for efficiency and making learning perfectly tailored, which sounds great.
Except the reality check.
Mm-hmm.
We're still a long, long way from that. Because right now, yeah, AI is in education, but honestly, it's often used badly, designed poorly, and based on a pretty shallow idea of how learning actually works.
It's really important to separate the current reality from the future hype.
You know, most AI in schools today falls into roughly 3 buckets. First, you've got your educational chatbots. They're supposed to answer student questions instantly.
Right.
Type in explain photosynthesis, boom, you get an answer. But the problem is, it's usually just rephrasing stuff you could find online anyway. It's like a fancy search engine, not a teacher.
It gives information but doesn't really teach.
Exactly. It answers the question, but does the student understand? The chatbot doesn't know. There's no nuance, no checking for comprehension. And worse, they can be just plain wrong sometimes. Yeah, AI doesn't have common sense. It might confidently tell you something incorrect and not realize it. Imagine a student learning faulty information because the chatbot made a mistake and didn't catch it. That's dangerous.
That lack of pedagogical sense and the potential for errors are pretty big downsides for those chatbots.
Then the second bucket, adaptive learning platforms. Things like Khan Academy's AI, Squirrel AI, Carnegie Learning, they analyze your mistakes and give you tailored exercises.
Okay, that sounds a bit more sophisticated.
It is. It's a step up, but still flawed. They mostly just adjust the difficulty. If you get something wrong, it gives you an easier problem, or maybe another example of the same type.
So it assumes the problem is just the difficulty level.
Pretty much. But maybe you didn't get it wrong because it was too hard. Maybe it was explained badly for your learning style. Are you a visual learner? Auditory? Kinesthetic? Do you need an analogy? These platforms often don't account for that diversity. They kind of treat all learners the same. A good human teacher sees you're struggling and tries a different angle. These AIs mostly just offer simpler versions of the same angle.
Right, that one-size-fits-most approach doesn't really capture how different individuals learn best.
And the third category is AI helping teachers. Tools for making quizzes automatically, grading simple stuff, maybe drafting basic lesson plans.
Okay, practical stuff, time savers.
Definitely useful, saves teachers time, which is great.
Yeah.
But it's not revolutionary, is it? It's automating tasks that we already do.
Okay.
It doesn't change the fundamental way we teach. Most current AI in education is really about optimization, making the old ways a bit faster, a bit slicker, maybe more interactive. But it's not fundamentally rethinking anything.
The focus seems to be on efficiency gains within the existing model, rather than true pedagogical innovation.
Because here's the core issue. These AIs are designed as correctors, mostly, not as educators. Think about what a good teacher really does.
It's way more than just giving answers.
So much more. They ask questions that make you think. They spot misunderstandings you didn't even know you had. They change their explanation on the fly based on your reaction. They know when you're just nodding along but haven't got a clue. They know when to push you, when to back off, when to offer encouragement, not just another math problem. Current AI, it doesn't see any of that. It can't tell if you're bored, stressed, frustrated, or just too shy to ask a question. And that human element is just critical for real teaching.
That empathy, intuition, the ability to connect and motivate, that's what's missing from the AI right now.
People talk about AI replacing teachers, but honestly, today's AI doesn't even cover 10% of what a teacher actually does. Generating exercises,
Yeah.
sure. Spotting wrong answers.
Yeah.
But inspiring, supporting, building critical thinking, guiding independent thought, not even close. So, yeah, it's a tool, an interesting one. But a revolution? Nah, not yet.
It can automate some things, definitely, but it lacks that whole human dimension of teaching.
And yet the potential is still massive. If we could just shift how we think about it, stop seeing AI as just a corrector and start designing it as a real educational partner, one that truly understands and adapts, then yeah, things could really change.
That requires a big mental shift, though, moving from replacement thinking to seeing AI as a powerful assistant.
Okay, so we've talked about what AI isn't doing so well right now in education. Let's flip it. What could AI do that would actually be revolutionary? If we really push the boundaries, what advancements could genuinely transform learning?
This is where it gets really exciting, thinking about the true potential.
Absolutely. First off, the biggest leap would be genuinely adaptive AI tutors, not just adjusting difficulty based on errors like we have now. That's too basic.
Right.
We need AI that adapts to your unique learning style. Can it tell if you learn best visually? By listening, by doing, and then actually change how it teaches you based on that.
That would be a massive step forward. Tailoring the method, not just the content difficulty.
Totally. Imagine an AI tutor that knows you're a visual learner, so it uses diagrams and animations. Or it senses you're getting stressed or tired and adjusts the pace, maybe suggests a break, instead of just pushing more problems at you. And it needs a break free from just text. So much digital learning is still basically reading on a screen. A truly smart AI would weave together voice, images, interactive simulations, videos, make learning multisensory, immersive, much more natural. Because learning isn't just memorizing definitions, right? It's about deep understanding, playing with ideas.
Integrating those different sensory modes is key to engaging all learners and making understanding stick.
And, traditional schools often struggle with that multisensory stuff.
Yeah.
But AI could also tackle something else schools often neglect. Social skills, public speaking.
Ah, interesting. Those soft skills.
Yeah. We drill kids on formulas and dates, but how much do we actively teach them to express their ideas clearly, to argue persuasively, to speak confidently?
It's often assumed they'll just pick it up, which doesn't always happen.
Imagine an AI coach for oral communication. It uses your camera and mic to analyze your voice tone, your pace, maybe even your body language, and gives you specific tips. You're speaking too fast here, or try varying your intonation more.
Real-time, personalized feedback.
Exactly. An AI that runs you through practice debates, gives you counter-arguments, simulates job interviews, negotiations, because being able to communicate well is just as important as knowing stuff.
AI could provide safe, repeatable practice for skills that are hard to rehearse otherwise.
And if we want a real revolution, we need to rethink the materials too. Textbooks. They're so static. Mostly text, few pictures. What if they were AI-powered and interactive?
Learning resources that actively engage you.
Picture this. An AI textbook highlights key ideas for you based on how you're learning. It generates pop-up quizzes right where you're struggling. It could turn a history chapter into an immersive simulation where you participate instead of just read. A textbook that actually teaches, not just a PDF on a tablet.
That sounds much more dynamic.
And think bigger. AI could bring education to people who currently have none. Millions of kids worldwide lack schools, teachers.
Bridging that global education gap.
Why not develop low-tech AI education? Stuff that works offline, on basic phones, maybe even delivered via radio or SMS in places with no internet. AI that adapts content to local languages, local culture, local needs, not just pushing a Western curriculum everywhere. We could literally build virtual schools where none exist.
That localized, culturally sensitive approach could make a huge difference.
And maybe make learning fun. School can feel like a chore sometimes, right? Repetitive, boring. But look at video games. They keep people hooked for hours.
I definitely know something about engagement.
So why not use AI to gamify learning, create personalized educational adventures, turn subjects into interactive worlds with levels, skills, quests, all adapting to your progress? Imagine every student on a unique learning path, facing challenges tailored just for them.
Using game mechanics driven by AI to boost motivation and make learning feel less like work.
And finally, what about teachers? AI could help them too. Not replace them, but support them.
Teacher training and support is crucial, often overlooked.
Imagine AI analyzing a class in real time, anonymously of course, spotting when kids are zoning out, suggesting to the teacher, maybe try a different activity now, or this concept isn't landing. AI could generate amazing interactive content for lessons, provide personalized professional development for teachers, help them keep up. Education really is at a crossroads.
It really feels like a moment of huge potential change.
But the big questions are, do we have the vision to really go for it? Or will we just bolt on some fancy tech to the same old system? And maybe more profoundly, is all this tech really progress for learning? Or are we just turning education into another product to be optimized by algorithms, maybe losing the human touch along the way?
That tension between technological advancement and maintaining the core human values of education, that's the critical balancing act.
We've talked about the metaverse, AI, interactive tools, all this tech that could change everything. But maybe we need to pause and ask something more basic. What do we actually want people to learn in the future?
That's a fundamental question.
Because having shiny new tools doesn't automatically mean better learning, does it? Or that we're learning the right things. And there's a worrying trend, I think. Are we starting to trade deep, fundamental knowledge for just tech skills?
The risk of prioritizing employable skills over broader intellectual development.
Look around. You see schools cutting back on humanities, arts, history. Subjects seen as less useful to make room for coding, data science. Now look, knowing how to code is valuable today, no doubt. But if that's all we focus on, are we losing something important? Like the ability to think critically, to reflect deeply.
That focus on immediate utility can sometimes overshadow the long-term value of foundational knowledge and critical thinking.
Because tech skills, they change fast, right? Today's hot programming language is tomorrow's history. But the ability to analyze, to argue, to think clearly, those skills are timeless. They always matter. We shouldn't see it as either. Foundational knowledge and digital skills are both vital. They need each other.
They're complementary. A strong base in critical thinking helps you learn and adapt to new technologies more effectively.
The school of the future needs to teach kids not just how to use the tools, but how to question them, understand their limits, avoid just blindly depending on them. We don't want generations who can use AI but have no clue how it works or what its biases might be. That feels dangerous.
Developing true digital literacy, understanding the why and how behind the tech, not just the what, is essential.
So, thinking about tomorrow's education, What skills are absolutely non-negotiable? I reckon there are 3 key ones. First, critical thinking.
Absolutely crucial.
We're drowning in information, right? AI can generate plausible-sounding nonsense in seconds. Fake news spreads like wildfire. Kids need to be taught how to question everything, check sources, understand agendas, not just passively swallow whatever the algorithm feeds them. If we don't teach this explicitly, we're setting them up to be manipulated.
In this info-saturated world, being able to critically evaluate what you see and read is perhaps the most important skill.
Second essential skill, adaptability. The world's changing so fast, jobs appear and disappear. What you learn today might be obsolete tomorrow. So getting a diploma for one specific thing isn't enough anymore. The real skill is learning how to learn, being curious, knowing how to find good information, being able to pivot and adapt. Education needs to shift from just follow the syllabus to fostering that lifelong learning mindset, that autonomy.
The ability to continuously learn, unlearn, and relearn will be vital for navigating future careers and life in general.
Which brings me to the third one, intellectual autonomy. And this is where AI gets tricky. The biggest risk might not be that AI is bad, but that it's too good at doing the thinking for us.
The easy answer problem.
Exactly. If you have an AI that gives instant answers, writes your essays, will you ever develop your own ability to analyze, to struggle through a problem, to think for yourself? Or do we risk raising a generation that's completely dependent on tech prompts to function intellectually?
It's a serious concern, finding that balance between using AI as a helpful tool and letting it become a crutch that hinders independent thought.
We need to be really careful here. AI can supercharge learning, yes, but it shouldn't replace the cognitive effort, the struggle, the exploration that is learning. That balance is crucial, and honestly, I don't think we've figured it out yet.
Ensuring technology enhances rather than undermines deep thinking and intellectual independence is a major challenge.
Look, if the school of the future just means kids staring at screens while AI feeds them pre-digested knowledge, we've failed. We've totally missed the point. Education is supposed to be about understanding the world, developing your own perspective, learning how to navigate complexity. No AI can do that for you.
The goal isn't just information transfer. It's about developing capable, critical, independent human beings.
So we have to ask ourselves, are we building an education system that truly prepares people for the future? Or are we just creating students who look good on paper but are actually totally reliant on machines? And if it's the latter, what can we actually do to change course?
It forces us to define what we truly value in education and how we ensure technology serves those values, not the other way around.
Okay, wow, we've covered a lot of ground today. Thinking about the future of education, the metaverse, AI, interactive everything, so virtual teachers. And, the potential is really subjective, isn't it? Learning that's more immersive, personalized, efficient. A school that finally adapts to the student, not forcing every student into the same mold. Universal access to knowledge. It sounds fantastic.
The vision of a more equitable, engaging, and effective education system is certainly very appealing.
And it's a big but. There's that underlying risk we kept coming back to. In our rush to optimize everything, to make it personalized and efficient, we can easily end up making education shallower, poorer in a way.
Right. The risk of losing depth in the pursuit of breadth or speed.
We have to remember that learning isn't just about downloading information into brains. It's about human connection, wrestling with ideas, doubting, making mistakes, arguing, discussing. That messy human part. Tech can support it, maybe, but it can't replace it.
Those fundamentally human aspects of learning, the struggle, the dialogue, the connection, are irreplaceable.
So really, the choice boils down to this. Do we let education become just another immersive game, another optimized digital experience? Or do we fight to keep it as a space where people learn to think, to understand complexity, to grow as humans?
It's about the purpose of education itself.
Technology is an incredible tool, amazing potential, but we decide how to use it. If we just throw digital tools at the problem without thinking, we could lose the very soul of education. But if we're smart about it, if we focus on using these tools to make learning more engaging, yes, but also more accessible and fundamentally human, then maybe, just maybe, we can achieve real positive change.
It requires wisdom, foresight, and a clear commitment to humanistic educational values guiding the technological integration.
So here's a final thought for you to ponder. What do you think is the right balance between all this amazing tech and the human stuff that technology can't replicate? What does your ideal future of learning really look like?
Cappuccino, white crop, mines, brewed hot, served raw. No sugar, no filter. Sip, think, repeat, repeat, repeat.